Please. You will love it. Love it.
I have been on. Like we're like,
who are you talking to?
Getting into like the third hour. You know, it's not like I just, just sitting around. I'm just not a pretty face, Rush. I got some skills.
I know you're not.
As I lip balm. I tell you what, Rush, I think you should probably take some more of these interviews by yourself. Now, I missed being there, but I loved listening to you do this interview.
So I appreciate you saying that. Just to catch the listener up, if it's not clear from what you just said, there was an opportunity we had to meet with Andy Glaze, an ultra marathon runner who is top of the field in terms of volume. Anyway, but for some reason you couldn't be there. And so I ended up meeting with him by myself. And I did not enjoy that nearly as much as you might think I did, because I just think it's a lot better when we're having a 3-person conversation. But I was really interested to talk to that guy. I followed him for a long time on social media and on a running app. And it was just really cool to hear about his life and his running and all the rest. But I don't like doing the thing, just by myself like that. So hopefully that doesn't happen again, or maybe sometime you'll be on the receiving end of a one-on-one conversation, and that would be cool to listen to.
Yeah, I need to do the heavy lifting, and you can sit and listen with some popcorn like I did, and probably enjoy it just as much.
Yeah. So here's my conversation with Ultra Andy Glaze, and then we'll talk about it. So, I wanted to ask you first, just sort of what's going on in your life. I noticed you said you have some races this weekend, and I'm just curious, kind of what your normal schedule is like and what life is like. It looks like you work for a fire department, and is that right? And so, what's your life like?
This week, so I have a race Friday. So, before I do like a big race, I tend to we call it tapering, and I reduce the amount of miles that I normally run. So for me, that's I'm running like about 10 miles a day and just kind of taking it super easy, getting more sleep. I'm running the San Diego 100, which it's a 100-mile race out in the eastern mountains of San Diego.
I have too many questions to ask just about running, but I'm really, in addition to that, just more interested in just ways that I can get to know you a little bit better. What's important to know about Andy?
From very young age, so I'm 45. So 13, 14 is when my parents got their first computer.
Yeah.
And I became a little sort of computer hacker at a young age and got really into computers. And did a lot of computer work all the way into my late 20s. And I went through a divorce. And at the end of the divorce, I kind of decided that I was done with computers, kind of like one of those life-changing moments where everything's changing and you're like, well, I'm just going to reinvent myself.
Yeah.
And so I started looking for new careers. I started investigating all different things.
Yeah.
And right around that time, my grandfather, who was a pediatrician his whole life, he died. And at his funeral, there was 500 people showed up, and they were all his, people that he helped, when they were little kids, and now they're all grown up and they all came to pay their respect. And a lot of them would come up to me and say, oh, your grandpa did this for me. Oh, your grandpa, helped me. And this is back in the day when, the doctor would actually do a house visit, and so he had a really good connection with this huge group of people, and all these people he had really helped them and changed their lives. And I at that moment just was this is what I want. I want to do something in life that when I die, I will be able to people will be able to look back and say, hey, he made a difference. He he changed people's lives. And I had a lot of friends that were firefighters, and they were like, "Hey, man, this is like, you can be a paramedic, you can help people, you can save lives. We get to do." And they sold me on it. It's been a great career for me because I truly have been able to like help people and save lives and all the other stuff that I really wanted to do.
What really makes your family happy? If you think about the pursuit of happiness in your family, I mean, you seem like a happy guy to me. So what's the pursuit of happiness like in your family?
I mean, my family, like, they're like doers. So I think what makes them happy is like doing stuff like we spend a lot of time at the beach, in the water, like surfing and doing stuff like that. They have all their activities like we just talked about. They love that. We like to go on like vacations together. And like last year we went to Costa Rica. We went and rode ATVs and horses and surfed and did all these, like, they like to do stuff, so, and seeing, I try to expose my kids to a more global approach to the world and not so, ethnocentric, I mean, I love America just like, any good American does, but at the same time, we live in a huge world and there's lots of other things that go on. And, I want my kids to be exposed to like that global world and understand, like, it's important to see other cultures and how other people live and,
right on. Totally get that.
So I try to like, instill that. And then like, all my obsession with hard work and my obsession with doing hard things and all that stuff. Like my kids get those same lectures that I give on social media, like, the importance of failure and like,
even just today with Ezra, who's 10, we were talking, he sometimes likes to go to the skate park and he's not quite gotten, what it means to drop in. He hasn't quite gotten where he can drop in and he's really afraid to do it. And so we had a little conversation today, which actually reminded me of you. And even now, as I'm thinking about it, it brings a really important question to mind. So I was just telling him, the things that are most worth doing in life are the things, if you can find them, that you're not sure that you could do it. And I was even thinking the other day, and I'm actually talking to Joe about this, is I was asking him if he thinks of certain things in his life or where you feel like, I don't know that I can actually pull this off, but I'm going to try and I'm willing to fail or I'm willing to get hurt trying because it's important to try to do that. Do you still feel that, like this weekend, do you still feel I'm not sure I can do it, or you've gotten to a point? Where's that line for you now? Do you have one?
Yeah. I mean, and anytime I feel like ultras are so hard. Yeah. And I think sometimes on my videos and whatnot, maybe I don't like do a good job of selling how hard they are because, I'm editing stuff together to make a video, but like I get before every 100-mile race, and I pretty much only do 100-mile races at this point. I get super, like, I've been nervous all week. Yeah. I've been like trying to mentally prepare, trying to get myself ready for this because there's a lot that goes into running 100 miles. It is not, I mean, I have to manage my nutrition, my hydration, my temperature, my chafing issues. I have to like watch the trail and not trip and fall. All these things. And then I have to think about like, what am I going to need to do at the next aid station? Drop bags, what I should eat, how many calories that I've taken in, like all these things, and I do all this like solo. So I don't have a crew and I don't have pacers to help me. And it's a lot. And I have failed like a lot of times. Like I've like, we call it DNF, which is did not finish. Yeah. I've DNF'd a lot of races. And so I know all the things that can go wrong, not all of them, but a lot of them. Yeah. And so, before I like drop into that, skate park, before I do that, I'm thinking about all this stuff and it just makes me so incredibly anxious and nervous. I'm nervous right now thinking I've done San Diego twice. The first time I fell and I like I knocked myself out, and
whoa.
Yeah, I got a really bad concussion. I ended up having to like walk out like 8 miles, and I was like all totally dazed. And I had some issues like from that concussion for like months afterwards.
Really?
It affected me for quite a while. The morning before the race, I will be dry heaving and like just a wreck.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Really?
And I'll pull myself together, and then as soon as I start running, like I'll start talking to somebody, and I'm a talker. Like if you come up with me on a race, like there a lot of people have gotten captured by me, and I will literally talk your ear off if you find me at a race. Because I'm like you, like in this conversation we're having right now, I will out on the race, I will be like, so where do you live? What do you do? What's your job? Like how many kids do you have? Like, and I will ask all the questions. I want to know everything about you. And I will do it while we're running a 100-mile race or a 200-mile race or whatever. I mean, I get really into like finding out about people, and I
don't know if you can see it in my face. I'm genuinely fascinated just talking to you, and I have to really, because I know that we can't talk forever. I have to be selective in what I ask you. I'm trying to think carefully about that. I mean, I really do appreciate just your attitude that you share in your social media posts, in particular in your running. The motto, "Smile or you're doing it wrong," is a striking mix with the pain of ultramarathon running that I only know by observation. So you have a family, kids, wife, job, and major running goals that require extensive time being poured into them. How do you manage that?
Well, I mean, the two things. One, my wife and I, we split our kids 50-50.
Okay.
So 50% of the time, but it tends to be when I'm at work, we don't have the kids. And then when I'm off work, we have them.
Okay.
But it doesn't always line up like that, but that's the gist. I wake up super early and run in the morning.
Okay.
That's like the main thing. My wife will get the kids up, get them ready, and they go to school. And so I have that little buffer in the morning where like I can get more miles. And then I tend to run twice a day to get like a higher amount of miles. So then I run again in the evening after they've had dinner and like they're kind of winding down.
Yeah.
I don't know, like an hour's worth of running or something like that, like in the evening.
So because it's really fresh on my mind, having read this book, To the Edge, and about the bad water, and getting my mind around that, I wanted to ask you, since you ran it once
unsuccessfully.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is going to be really interesting to me. So you ran it once unsuccessfully. So, like part of the story, it takes you through the whole race that he goes through. And all of the pain and struggle, and even down to at one point, I just finished the book today. So it's really fresh in my mind. But at one point, his crew is back behind him. And he's run ahead of them, and it's the middle of the night, it's 2 a.m, and all of a sudden he comes into a town, and he becomes panicked that they took a wrong turn, and now they've gone the wrong way, and he doesn't know how far back, and he turns around and he starts, with what little bit of life he has left, running back to the van, and they stop and get out and say, "What's wrong?" And he said, "We must have made a wrong turn." And then he turns back around and the town is gone because he has hallucinated this town. And just that's a great picture of just what the whole book kind of tries to paint out. And you've talked about this. You've talked about a pain cave. And I'm just curious, like, what was your experience like?
So, I mean, I've crewed it twice, and then I ran it once. So I've done the whole crewing and done that whole experience, which is a slightly different experience than actually running it. I almost think crewing it's harder because you're just in that hot ass van, and having to take care of somebody that's falling apart the whole time.
And you're falling asleep in the crew, right? Because you've got to
and then I would also pace too. So I would run 7 miles, and I would get in the van. And then somebody else would run 7 miles. and then I would run 7 miles. So,
Yeah.
but what happened with me, it's silly, when I look back on it now, but two things. One, I ran the San Diego and I got a concussion.
Yeah.
And then literally, like 3 weeks later, I ran Badwater. So I still had that concussion, which I think affected me negatively. The year I did it, it was 128 degrees, which is one of the hottest years they've ever had. And my whole body like cramped up for 2 hours. And I'm talking like, I've had kidney stones. I've had, all sorts of horrible things happen to me. This was the most painful thing that I've ever gone through, where literally my entire body cramped from my neck all the way to my toes. And I couldn't stop it. Like I was just literally like completely cramped up. And, I'm drinking all this electrolytes. I'm eating mustard. I'm drinking pickle juice. I'm doing everything. And it wouldn't stop. That mixed with, I hadn't peed the entire race and it had been like 12 hours.
How far did you get before the shutdown?
So this is at like mile 50. I got to the top of the mountain, the first mountain, and you're about to drop down in. And I just, that was it. I didn't pee and I cramped and I couldn't, I just was like mentally, I wasn't going to be able to come back after 2 hours of getting myself back together. Meanwhile, full sun, 128 degrees, and, you're kind of in the shade of the van, but there was just, by the time I stopped cramping, my body was done, and we drove all the way home, which was probably 5 or 6 hours, didn't pee the whole way, still was just drinking and drinking.
Really?
And I finally got home after 18 hours and I peed when I got home, and thank God it was pretty clear. But I was, panicked that I was going to get rhabdo and all that sort of stuff. So,
okay. So I'm going to ask you a question, and if Joe was here, he's going to say this is an insulting question to ask. That whole experience and the failure to finish the race, how did that affect you? That may be obviously, I have an obvious thought about what that would be like, but how did that affect you? Because that's one of those drop in to the skate park, Ezra things. Like, I don't know that I can do it. I'm going to really try. And all of the variables have to be in place. But I'm going to pour my life into it. And then this happens. What was that like personally for you? If I can ask that.
I mean, it was hard because I didn't have a whole lot of DNFs before that. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah.
Are we good? Okay. Sorry, my wife's listening to TikToks next to me over here.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
So, the San Diego DNF was hard. And then the Badwater was hard. And then after that, I ran Angeles Crest right after that. And I had I made it 85 miles and had super bad chafing issues. And ended up I probably could have made it, but mentally wasn't there. I just couldn't finish the last 15 miles. So I had 3 bad DNFs in a row. It was hard. I was I just went through a really low point in my life that year because I had these 3 big DNFs, and I had to this was sort of I was still trying to figure out mentally how to handle ultras in general. This has been a long time coming of experimenting and failing. And that was probably the year where I had the most mental challenges where I think mentally I gave up on some things and I could have pushed through. It would have required a lot of grit and a lot of pain, but I just didn't want to. And so those 3 in a row. And again, I always kind of tie it back to the concussion because, after several months, I felt like I got mentally stronger again. And then I did, after Angeles Crest, I did UTMB and finished that, which is a very, very hard race. Yeah. So, and then kind of got my stuff back together after that. But that was low point. I mean, especially Badwater because it's so expensive. I have all these friends come out and like, help me.
Yeah.
And
that's the way a guy in the book felt. Yeah.
Right. And then like to fail after 50 miles when it's like, 50 miles to me is nothing.
Yeah.
And we've already spent days out there getting ready and buying ice and doing all that. It was, that was like,
imagined.
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, I still think back, like, I'm probably at some point I'll go back and finish Badwater.
Okay.
It's just, again, it's so expensive. Like sometimes for me, it's like, there's so many things I'd rather do than go spend $5,000 running through the desert.
Yeah.
Go do a race in Italy or go do a race in like Thailand or something. It would be like financially better.
Have you done overseas stuff?
Yeah. I've done, I've done UTMB 3 times.
Okay. I don't know where all these places are, so I'm picking up on it.
UTMB is in France, and you run through the Alps.
Okay.
And you run from France into Italy, into Switzerland, and then back into France.
Yeah.
And then I've done, I did a race in Japan. I've done a race in China. So, I mean, my goal is to run all over the world in races, but it time consuming and then cost.
Yeah.
So
maybe just a couple more questions, and you can at any moment say, "Rush, that's good. I've had enough." Because I seriously could keep asking you questions all day long. So you have these opportunities to run in the Alps, in Death Valley, all these beautiful San Diego, all these beautiful places, and I'm curious, what is there? I assume there is. Is there a kind of spiritual side to your life and your running? Where are you with all of that? How do you take that in?
So it's kind of like the journey is the reward. Like, to get ready for all these races, I spend an enormous amount of time in the mountains and the hills and the trails I'm obsessed with nature and in all of its beauty and all of its glory and everything. And, going and racing in beautiful areas is just like icing on the cake. It's just like, that's just another great aspect of ultra running and trail running. And I love flowers, and I love, when the leaves change colors, and, I love it when it snows, and I love it when it rains, and I love it when it's hot, and I love it when it's cold. I mean, I love being outside. I still do it like once a year, but I used to be a big backpacker, and I'd go out and backpack for, couple weeks at a time out into the middle of nowhere where there's no cell reception or no anything, and just take in nature and take in all that beauty. And I still do it. I mean, I'm still doing it all the time when I'm out running. Every day the trails are different. Every day, different flowers blooming, or something went from green to brown or brown to green, and maybe you see a coyote or a rattlesnake or, a bear or a mountain lion or whatever. And it's just all just amazing. Yeah.
It's amazing.
And so, I love it. And I definitely, even in a race, I'm still like totally soaking it all in. These people that tag me all over the world from, I've had like South Africa to, Seoul, Korea, and I love seeing where they're running. I look at the trail, I look at the trees, I'm like, look at the lakes or whatever. To me, that's always like super fascinating. I really like that.
It is fascinating. What, and I really hope I'm not just asking you like all the standard, like,
no, this has been a very different podcast for sure.
Okay. Different. Yeah. Joe's gonna love that one.
A lot of questions are normally like running based and stuff like that. I just like to talk.
That's good. I do too.
And this has been more like intimate about like who I am, which is cool. I'm an open book, so I'm not trying to hide anything from anybody. I'm not like you thought in the beginning of the podcast. Like, I truly do believe that like the person I portray on social media is Andy. Like I'm not acting,
Yeah.
And it's like, I just am who I am. And like, so
yeah, cool. That's really cool.
It makes it easy for me.
Yeah. And I'm interested, we're interested in you as a person. So I appreciate that that's coming through. So So like you said earlier, most people who do an ultra marathon, they do maybe one in a year, and you're like going to be at, or you're at 8 or something like that. So,
Right.
So what is two ways that I think I can ask this question? What is either right with you or what is wrong with you? That this is what you're doing. You're going so far beyond the norm. Why are you doing?
Well, I mean, I think there's or maybe three things. One, I really love running, and I really love running far.
Yeah.
Two is I enjoy inspiring people, and probably the most important is, I use running ultras as a way to deal with like stress, anxiety, and PTSD.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have a significant amount of PTSD from my job, and then just I'm a human being, and
life is
stress
hard.
and anxiety. Yeah, life is hard. Global pandemics, and my dad died last year, and just things like that are out of your control. That really create a lot of stress and anxiety. So there's a point in a 100-mile race or 200-mile race or whatever where like my brain just like clicks off and I stop thinking rationally or anything. It's more or less like, I don't know, like I just think about like how to survive. I think about what Andy needs to survive this experience. And it's like a lizard brain sort of, eat, drink, move type like brain activity.
Yeah.
And I find it really, really soothing.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I wish I had longer. I wish I could talk to you again, maybe sometime in the future, but
season 2.
Yeah, we'll do season 2 for sure. Yeah. If you're up for it, it'd be great.
Sounds good.
Thank you, man. See you later.
All right.
Bye. Happy running.
Yeah. I mean, one of the big things that really stood out to me was that he was like, the process is the joy. Like that was the prize for him, was the process, the journey, the struggle. And I'm like, that is a mindset.
Yeah.
That is a mindset that not very many people have. They're saying, no, wait a minute. The goal is the prize.
Yeah.
As I know, listen, the journey is the prize, which I think from a framework of thinking holistically about life, I mean, that's the book of Ecclesiastes, right?
The elite or number one female ultra marathon runner named Courtney Dalwalter talks about what he talked about, which is the pain cave, where you're going to a place in the course of the marathon where you just aren't sure that you can go any longer. And there's all kinds of experiences of pain and hallucinations and all of that. And she actually says something kind of strange. She said when she's there, she imagines herself wearing a hard hat and having a chisel in a cavern. And as she runs, her imagination is on chiseling away the walls of the cavern to make the pain cave bigger and bigger so that she can explore it, which just sounds fascinating and weird at the same time. But it's exactly what you just said, is the fulfillment of testing your limits.
Yes. There are a couple of things that you did that I just think it is true that a man of understanding is able to draw out the heart. And you really displayed, Rush, you did, the skill set of being able to really draw out a person. And the way that you framed things, what I really liked is that you would set up a question that put somebody at ease, which I don't really do as well. I just kind of like jump in. It's like, knock, knock, who's there? I'm here. Just kind of, and people are like, what are you doing? Why are you asking these questions? So they're kind of like disoriented, but it was really cool. You're just like, you know what? I want, just in an effort to get to know you better, I want to ask this question. And as I listened to the episode, I watched him kind of talk about stuff to then invite you into how he thinks. Even though I wasn't there in the room, I could see your eyes and just leaning in because he's such an interesting person.
He really is.
Well, that's it for today. Our next episode is going to be released 1 week from today. So make sure to check us out anywhere you get your podcasts.